The sky so far, but I can't lose it.
From one historic track to the next, we make the trip across the Straits of Dover to the UK and to Falcombe in Longfield and Kent. Welcome to Brands Hatch, and welcome to round number 7 of the iRacing IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. It's Friday night prime time here on RaceSpotTV. I'm Nolan Wempo with Connery Maddock beside me in the commentary box today and behind the cameras for today's presentation. What a brilliant circuit this place is here, Connery. It is fast, it's flowing, it's got a little bit of everything. Sweeping bends, fast kinks, slow hairpins, and some extreme elevation change. 13 turns make up this 2.4-mile circuit, just shy of the length of the Daytona International Speedway's oval configuration, but boy, it can be just as exciting.
Yeah, it can be. Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I've appeared on one of these Friday night primetime broadcasts, but I am ready and raring to go here at Brands Hatch in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. It's a very, tight circuit when it comes to multi-class racing. There's not a lot of room to maneuver out there, so I'm being very interested to see how these guys are able to negotiate sometimes a very, very tricky circuit when it comes to multi-class, but should be fantastic.
Should be a very fantastic circuit indeed. And of course, there are a lot of very famous corner names here as well. We're going to have to watch out for in the early run here. Most notably, down through Paddock Hill, Bend, up the Pilgrim's Rise, and down into Druids. I'm believing here, Connor, we're going to be seeing at least 3 or 4 cars getting sent off into those corners. It's so easy to mess those up, and especially the front-wheel drive touring cars. If you get onto the curbing on the exit of Paddock Hill, you are in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, you absolutely are. Here's one of your sort of main runners then in TCR. This will be George Simmons. He currently hasn't set himself a qualifying time just yet. The vast majority of the drivers have at this stage in the event, so it's a very tricky predicament for him when it's getting towards the back end of the session here and you still haven't set your lap time just yet. But for George Simmons, she should be able to get at least the one clean lap in here and maybe go for the second in just a couple of moments.
I tell you what, this is going to be quite something here for George Simmons. He was so close to getting the victory last week at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Made a bonsai 3Y move, trying to go for the lead of the final series of corners off the dot in a hoe. Was so close to getting that victory. Gave the lead to the bumper, but was not able to come home to get that win. Well, he's got a good shot at doing this here today. He is on home turf here, so we'll have to see here what Simmons will be able to do here and where he's going to sit as well in that TCR field. He's coming to the close of his first lap here. I believe he'll have time to still set a second lap here as well, but he's going to come across the line here just about now. 1:32.206. Third place on the boards for him, about a third of a second, though, off of the pole sitter's time of Quentin Guinness.
Yeah, so still some progress to be made there for George Simmons as he continues on his way around out there. It's, again, such a tricky position to be able to get a clean lap on board in this sort of situation. It's those cars do tend to push wide a little bit. As soon as you get out into the grass, then that's basically your lap ruined in terms of your pace here in this one. So it's for George Simmons and, of course, for the rest of the TCR field. We're having a couple of issues at the moment with our overlay, so we'll get that one sorted for you in just a couple of moments' time. But at least for qualifying here, just to give you an update on GT4s, we've got Andre Carrera-Martins and Leonard Hartenberg currently leading that one at the moment. So that's the situation there in GT4s, as I'll be able to get all these issues rectified in just a couple of moments. Let's get the timing tower up. Why not? There they are. There's the qualifying order up on screen. It's all fine, Nolan.
So 0.27 seconds separating Simmons from Guinness up there on the top boards. Simmons, one of the faster drivers on the day, as one of the GT4s brings it to a stop in the run down. I believe that was down towards that final corner, but out through the final corner here for George Simmons onto the front straightaway, really hugging it tight, trying to get the max amount of time down the pit straight. Will this be enough? 1:32.120. He's gonna be on the front row. Not quite up there though. The leader still just about 0.2 of a second off the pace of Guinness. So that Ford car is gonna be the one to beat here.
Yep, it really is. Simmons is actually the last car out there, so we couldn't show you another car even if we tried at this point. So it's getting towards the end of the session now. Great little qualifying battle there in TCR. Close order, at least in for the P3 and back there for for the GT4s as well. An interesting battle between Hartenberg, Bernardini, and Iglesias there in that sort of situation. But we will get ourselves swapped over into the race session here, Nolan, on our starting grid. Will be coming up in just a few moments.
It is going to be a full pace lap around here, so we do have some time here to kind of give some guys their dues here. For the pole sitter in GT4s, Andrea Carrera Martins is up there on the pole. The Iberia driver, 0.3 of a second back, is Leonard Hartenberg in the second position. Alessio Bernardini in the third position, with Tristan Iglesias in the fourth position. Florian von Minkwitz in the fifth position, with Dominic Brennan rounding out the top 6. Taylor Bernard is in 7th, with Michael Janey in 8th. Nathan Ames in 9th, with Xavier Schwartzman in the 10th position. Marcus Jurok rounded out 11th, with Joshua Helbrug in 12th. Marcos Garcia rounded out a 13-car GT4 field on the day, about a second back from Andre Carrera Martins. Going to continue things down here for the TCR category. Corentin Guinness is out there on the pole. Just under 0.2 of a second back is George Simmons. Danny Calvo is in the third position, with Matthew Crisp rounding out the top 4. Fraser Smith is in 5th. Baptiste Schneider is in 6th. Miguel Freitas is in 7th, with Damian Owen Harris in the 8th position. Ishmael Habib Jimenez is in 9th, with Adam McNally rounding out the top 10. Just over 1 second back is Matthias Magnussen at the 21 car, the Scandinavian driver, bringing up the rear end of the grid, just 6 thousandths of a second behind McNally. So pretty tightly packed field here. That's something you were used to seeing, though, at this point in the Michelin Pilot Challenge.
Yeah, we are, you know, the TCR battles throughout this season have been absolutely exemplary, which is, you know, why that's sort of the main feature on these broadcasts. The GT4s are a little bit calmer, they're a little bit more complacent. They can get themselves spread out quite quickly because they don't have that huge draft lock that the TCR seem to have as well, and their sort of skill bracket is kind of spread out up and down the field. That doesn't mean to say we can't get amazing battles there in the GT4s. It's just that the way the TCRs race from time to time just sort of promotes their sort of close racing, which the GT4s don't.
I mean, look at Lime Rock Park for a good example of that, actually, Connor. We thought that at that track it would be the TCRs that would be, you know, getting all the attention that race, but no, the GT4s were actually raced a lot harder that race than the TCRs, where it was the TCR field that was a lot more spaced out for the Audi RS3 LMSs. So that was a bit of a surprising thing to see, but definitely a welcome surprise at that, because every other track so far, it really has been the touring car show, and that's just got to do with the fact that the GT4s, they seem to have a lot higher attrition rate, especially in the opening few laps, and they just can't get close enough to pass or race with each other anywhere else. We have tried, we've seen people try to make moves, but they've either always ended in a wreck or they haven't been able to make them at all.
Yeah, it's sort of sticky situation there, at least over the past couple of events. But hopefully here at Brands Hatch, the GT4s in particular can get themselves together and give us some absolutely amazing fights that don't end up in a couple of instances here and there, as you see them heading their way through the sort of middle section of the lap here. And well, we can take another little bit of a look back to the TCR grid as well. There they are, just out of Surtees coming down towards Dingledell, and it's you know, fantastic circuit, this one, and this high-speed middle sector in particular, with the fast right-handers that come after one after the other, after the other, after the other. You have to be pitch perfect all the way through them, otherwise you're going to have big problems, not only in terms of lap time, but getting out into the grass.
The GT4 field is just now rounded their way through Sterling's, the second to last corner on the circuit. Down the clearway straight before we enter Clark Curve will be the first time today under pacing conditions. And we'll have to see just what kind of excitement we'll get at that final Clark bend here for this race here at Brands Hatch. But meanwhile, it will be in the hands of Andrea Carrera Martins in the first position. He's already off on the way as the pace car pulls it off. We're underway from England, and it's a great launch there from the GT4 class leader as he rockets away from the field. Side by side for second, though, in the run towards turn number 1. Bernardini trying to fight off Leonard Hartenberg, but he's going to lose out, and Leonard Hartenberg is going to drop out in second position. Still clean, though, all throughout that GT4 field. Will they keep it clean here up through the Druids Hairpin up at the top of the hill? They will do so just nicely for the GT4 field. The TCR is also clean to the first corner.
Inez ahead of Simmons, and then Matthew Crisp in third place coming through. There's a little bit of side-by-side going on behind, though, involving Schneider, Owen Harris, Fraser Smith, and McNally is also involved in this as well. There's a little bit of elbows out racing there with one of the Team Mad cars further back in the pack, battling for P7 out there on circuit right now. A bit of a moment there throwing through Surtees as well. I think that was with McNally, and it caused a little bit of a scare from those drivers behind, but everyone able to keep on track at least.
The battle is really heating up at the moment for about 6th position out there on the track. Michael Janey is trying to run down Dominic Brennan as they're darting the way. Oh, heads up, that was a full set racing TCR that just got sent off the track. Fraser Smith has had problems here, might have had this one all by himself. He was battling with Damien Owen Harris at the time.
Let's take another look at it then from up above. What's happened to Fraser Smith as they head down the hill in towards that compression before he's sent back up the elevation change? Is it a solo car incident? It was a solo car incident there for Fraser Smith. It wasn't in the battle with Damien Owen Harris, and it's a hard impact with the tyre barriers there for Fraser Smith. And yeah, that's going to be a tough one to recover from, and he's already taken the tow back to pit lane, I think.
Taylor Barnard is really close to Xavier Schwartzman. They're battling at the moment, down out through Druids in the GT4 category. It's all kicking off here. They were 3 wide for a brief moment in the run to turn 1 this last time by on lap number 1, but look at this. Now we got Bernard trying to fight back on the inside of Schwartzman here. The number 9 car makes contact with the 17. That opens the door for Marcus Giroux to fight his way through, and he's going to pick up another spot as well. They're battling positions here just outside the top 10. Look at this 5-car train here. Nathan Ames being bone tracked by Joshua Hilrong in the back of this as well. This can only end one way.
Yeah, we were. Oh, there's the curse of the commentator, Nolan Garcia out in, and Ames. Actually, Schwartzman and Ames were having big problems there. There's Ames trying to get back onto the circuit, but there seems to be terminal damage to that Porsche, and he does have to take the tow back to pit lane, unfortunately for him. But you called it right, Nolan. A second or so after you said it's going to end, only going to end one way, it ended in the way you thought it was going to end, side by side into the right hander, door-to-door contact. Ames getting sent out into the barrier there, followed by the car behind the Schwartzman. And, well, at least there are only 2 cars involved in that. That's all I'm saying.
Hawthorne Bend is such a difficult corner you could go side by side through. You're coming over the rise. You do have the camber working for you, thankfully, but it's such a difficult corner to navigate, and I'm surprised they tried to go side by side through there, being so aggressive on just lap number 2. Not even 5 minutes into a 30-minute race. Baptiste Schneider, meanwhile, just lost out on a spot to his fiercely forward teammate Damien Owen Harris. Ran a bit wide through turn number 1. Looks like he might have had a bit of a loose moment on the entry as well for Schneider. He's now going to try to see if he can run down and have anything for his fiercely forward teammate of Damien Owen Harris, who is still trying to run down Matthew Crisp, who's right behind Danny Calvo.
Yeah, so we're having battles in both classes here. There's someone gone off ahead. Who's that? That is Danny Calvo. Danny Calvo had a big off there coming through Surtees, and he continues to drop further down the order. We'll get another view of it here. I'm not sure whether it was contact or not, but due to the luxury of replays, we'll get to see.
So this was in the run-up here to Surtees, so I think he might have just gone a bit too fast into the corner. Oh,
grass.
Look, the grass, that's what did it.
Yeah, that's just the way things are in iRacing sometimes. You touch the grass and it grabs you and sends you even further off. And, well, Danny Calvo learning that lesson rather quickly there. He'll be very fortunate that he wasn't actually sent, into a close barrier or anything like that, and just went directly out into the grass. There was enough grass there on the outside for him to be able to rejoin back onto the race circuit safely, but it does result in him getting fouled all the way back to P10.
The GT4 is starting to pick up the battle here as well, it would seem. I believe we're taking a look at the battle for second place on the racing surface. That's Alessio Bernardini at the moment trying to fend off Leonard Hartenberg just behind. And at the moment, Hartenberg is going to be able to have such a massive run here all the way up through the Pilgrims drop. It's a sharp downhill zone, and look at that. Bernardini letting off to allow Hartenberg to have the position, not wanting to go side by side over there through the Hawthorne Bend, and very wise there on Bernardini to kind of back out of that.
Yeah, it was a pretty simple move there, and we saw how treacherous going side by side through that right-hander at the top of the hill is after Pilgrim's drop. You know, we saw two GT4s earlier on in the race with Schwartzman and Ames try that a couple of laps ago, and it didn't really work out, did it? So fortunately, these guys have their wits about them. They have pretty good awareness. They know where it's possible to go side by side and not have contact. So that's just negotiated there between those two. Everything else, though, there's a battle further behind these guys right now for P4 on circuit. That's Minkvitz versus Iglesias here in the battle for P4 in GT4. It is the closest battle you have out there on circuit as well.
P6 is also close behind. Janey, just behind, is actually trying to find a way past Dominic Brennan's, but kind of making looks at the last few. Oh, and Janey's just been run over by the 17 car of Taylor Bernard. What in the world happened there? The 17 car was so far back, so how did the 17 end up getting into the rear end there of the 13?
We will take a look at it as we'll ride on board with that number 17 car. You can see the run coming through Paddock Hill Bends, go out wide onto that curb. That's fine. You can see the car ahead trying to go for a move on the around the outside of Druids, and then Bernard's going for a gap on the inside here. We will just take another quick look at this one to make sure we have our opinions in order. But yeah, Bernard, that was an optimistic move, I would say.
Just a little bit. Back he is, and he just lunges up the inside. I mean, wow. Goes over the hood of the 13 as well, right over that right front. So I have to keep an eye on that fiercely forward machine to make sure there's no damage on that car either. I'm not sure how Janey's car is going to be feeling about that. I know his right mirror isn't feeling too well. It's actually hanging by a thread there at the moment on my end. So Janey definitely not having the best of runs at the moment. You can see the right mirror at the moment. Oh, and he's going to loop it as well. Flip the grass right on the exit of Clark Curve. No contact, though, with the barriers, but he's going to take the toe to pit road.
I really don't blame him at that point, considering, like he said, he had a bit of damage, at least cosmetic damage, then he pushed wide and spun. So the race is pretty much done from him at that point. The only positions that you're really going to gain after a spin like that and that much lost time are instance that might happen a little bit later on in the race. So yeah, Gianni just deciding to cut his losses and back out now, take that toe back to pit lane and call it a day. It does mean, though, that we are now up to, in total, 4 retirements from this race. We had 24 cars started. We are down to 20 still circulating, and none of them horribly off the pace at the moment and trying to nurse their cars around. So you could say that they're still involved in battles at the moment. There's the race-leading TCR car. Corentin Guinness has really started to stretch his legs at this stage. He got away well at the very start of the race, and he's continued to try and pull that gap. Gap is up to 1.4 seconds now, back to George Simmons. I still definitely wouldn't count Simmons out of this, given how accomplished he is in these TCR machines, but it'll be quite a task due to how much pace Guinness is showing at the moment.
Real battle is on for about 17th place overall. Ishmael Habib Jimenez is right in front of Matthias Magnussen by the smallest of margins, and that is a big train there. Right behind all these guys is Miguel Freitas, who's trying to find a way through in the 12 car as well. So far, these guys have been keeping it very clean, though. This is the draft train we're so used to seeing her. Oh, that's going to be a closing. Magnussen, don't go for that one. And now look at this. Freitas trying to look at the inside at the Clark curve. So Magnussen gets pitched down, and then he in turn pitches out Freitas just behind. That just goes to show that these guys still are not going to give any quarter if they think they can hold on to a position.
Yeah, I mean, this is typical TCR. It's like they always want to run nose to tail. They want to always have looks here and there, and they're not afraid to get the bumpers and the doors out with regards to getting passes done here. Freitas almost trying to give a shot to the back bumper of Magnussen coming through Druids there. So, you know, it is really pressing the nose of that Team Mad TCR right into the back of the white TCR in front of him, but that's not an ideal line there through Graham Hill Bend. Someone should tell him, Paul, I know you're watching and I know you're a part of Team Mad. Why don't you tell Freitas that that's not quite the line?
So the TCR battle will continue to rage on. It has split up a little bit, and that means I can point out that 7th place in the GT4s has swapped hands. Garcia got the pass done around Hellrung, round the outside of the Hawthorne Bend. They were side by side entering the braking zone. I think Hellrung cut Garcia a bit of a break there in that battle for the 7th position overall. So that means now Hellrung is going to be under fire from Taylor Barnard, and we saw how opportunistic the 17 car was the last time he was in this kind of position. Now, will he try to make the same move again coming up to Druids?
Well, let's see if the move happens behind here, because Hellrung's making no progress on Garcia. Now Bernard's looking down the inside here at for P8, and the position is complete there for Bernard. Swings his way through. Hellrung will aggress onto the back here, try and apply the pressure, but that was such an authoritative move that there's really no opportunity to try and reply.
I don't know if you noticed this either, Connery, but Hellrung had started the turn for the apex and then actually went straight to let him have the room. Otherwise, they would have collided here. Watch this again. Hellrung on the outside, right there, went straight onto the corner when he realized that 17 car was going for it.
Yeah, that's just sort of race conservation. If you're not sure of the amount of the absolute send going down your inside, then you're going to make a little bit more space on the apex to allow that to happen and allow the car on the inside to drift up and not make contact with your right-hand door in that case. But in the end, still, it was a clean move for Bernard. He didn't need any more track than was given on the inside there. So great stuff. Go on, Nolan.
There's supposed to be contact. Freitas off the track at the exit of the Hawthorne Bend. Miguel Freitas is the one that kind of sent him off there. It's not been a good sign at all for these guys here. Yanni Calvo is the one that kind of muscled his way in there with the 8 car. They're having a really fierce battle all the way to the exit of Druids here, down towards the that Hawthorne Bend. So take a look at this here. You can see the 8 car of Calvo on the right side of the track, trying to follow Magnussen through, and right here at Hawthorne, right about there, conduit with the doors, sends Friedrich way off.
But avoids the barriers, most importantly, and, well, when you're put into that sort of situation as a TCR, either into a slide or onto the grass, it's a little bit more stable in those situations than some other cars that I can think of, but still very, very tricky indeed. Here's the onboards here, a little bit of contact into the grass, careful of the Armco area on the left-hand side there. Rejoins the circuit safely as well. So Freitas, he keeps himself in this race.
Calvo is now trying to have a run here. Matthias Magnussen here. That number 8 car is not giving any mercy here. Going to go for it on the exit turn number 4. Here comes Freitas. Might not be too happy with this one. We might see some retaliation here. Calvo now down the inside of Magnussen. More contact. That squeezes Magnussen off the track this time. What are you guys doing here? Now Freitas is going to be going around the outside here of Calvo. This is where they tangled exactly in these positions here. Just one lap to go. Will it end the same? Calvo deeper on the brakes, and Freitas is going to slot back in line.
Yeah, it only takes that one moment, and Freitas still looking for the inside through the right-handers. That is certainly not a place where you can overtake into there, but it didn't put a doubt in Freitas' mind, as he had a big show of the nose coming in through there. But now in towards Sterling's then, and again, you can get the run off of this corner and attempt to make a pass coming into Clearways at the end of the lap. But it's always a very, very tricky one indeed. And of course, coming through those final couple of quarters as well, it's so easy to run wide, and you get the same amount of grass issues as we've had a couple of times already so far this race. So again, Paul Smith, who is also a commentator here on RaceSpotTV and as part of Team Mads, which is, well, one of the cars we're watching right now, he said it's difficult to overtake here, and you have to be forceful, but maybe not that forceful.
Well, Freitas was not very happy about that move, so I think he just repaid the favor in kind to Calvo, and then some. Just completely left rear hooked Calvo off and into the gravel trap up at the top of Druids. Freitas was not playing around, but he had had enough of all the blocks and all the contact being made from Calvo. He decided, you know what, 2 can play at that game.
And there's the move back, and there's the bumper tapping, and yeah. I think there's some frustrations coming out here, Nolan.
You think? That was, I mean, that's about as blatant as it could get right there. I mean, Calvo straight up dumped, and some might say it was a little bit more deserved, but take a look at this battle here. Matthew Crisp and Adam McNally started to do battle here. It's the battle for 15th place overall, and I believe 5th place in the TCRs.
Yes,
it
is.
Be 4th place just up the road from them.
Yeah, it is. And, well, Matthew Crisp locked onto the back of Adam McNally coming through those final couple of corners, looking for the slipstream in towards Paddock Hill Bend. Again, another sketchy place to go side by side, but these guys remaining line for now, no opportunity for Crisp, but here comes your main overtaking opportunity on this lap. Big braking zone into Druids. We've seen a couple of dives down the inside here already, but not so here on this particular lap, but I guess it's only a matter of time.
So Matthew Crisp, Adam McNally, Matt G. Schneider, 4th, 5th, and 6th in the TCR field, all do battling, all 3 cars under a blanket. That car is Damien Owen Harris just up the road for them. They're trying to see if they can maybe run him down as well, but McNally at the moment closing in to the back of that 6T machine and trying to see if he can maybe find a way through, but I don't think McNally's going to be that close enough this lap. He might have to wait for the next lap.
He might. And we do have a developing sort of battle for P2 and GT4s as well that we can hop straight to if it decides to get a little bit spicier. But with the way Matthew Crisp is, with the way Adam McNally is driving right now, trying to lock onto the back of Schneider, it's this might be where the flashpoint comes. Here comes him and Ed down the inside. Oh, Matthew Crisp, down the inside of Adam McNally through clearways. That's an optimistic move. They're both able to give each other the space and make it work. And across the grid spots they go into Paddock Hill Bend. Who's going to win out in this one?
Battle of the late breakers, neither driver yielding. Matthew Crisp getting pinched into the apron. Contact is made for 5th and 6th position. McNally dropping back potentially here unless he can fight the outside line here, but he's going to tuck back in line behind Matthew Crisp. Just a little bit of a tap there, but apart from that, no further contact made between the 2 drivers. That was a great fight, though, through turn 1.
It was brilliant. It may not be finished either if Adam McNally has anything to say about this. Trying to carry so much speed there coming through Surtees corner. Try and get the traction down coming off of the corner. It's and now getting the slipstream down towards Pilgrim's Drop. But again, you do all that work and then you find the next corner is a high-speed right-hander where it's not conducive to going side by side. So you sometimes just kind of get stuck here in these situations. I'm going to have a look back and I'm going to jump back very, very quickly here to that battle for P2 and GT4s because we haven't really been giving them a lot of love so far this race. They had an impressive clumping early on in the race, but they've been quieter in recent times, but this battle for P2 is still developing.
And knowing how the Michelin Pilot Challenges have been going here, what's going to happen with this battle here? It's going to stay exactly like this, and we're not going to see any developments right until everything kicks off the TCRs. That's when the GT4s are going to say, oh, shoot, they're getting too much screen time. Now it's time for us to go ahead and get ourselves a camera action. Then we're not going to know who to go with. That's what it's been like every single race so far this season. And I love it. In my opinion, it's better to have too much things to talk about than too little.
Yeah, I think that is definitely the case. I mean, at least, there's always action here in these sorts of races, and it's not a huge drawn-out affair where we have to try and find topics to fill, but Hartenberg and Bernardini attempting to give us a good fight here. They haven't been close enough to go side-by-side just yet for P2 in GT4s, but certainly ample opportunity before this race is done for them to do so. So they can steal some of the limelight away from the TCRs who have been typically giving us the best show in these.
Bernardini is still struggling to hang on, and he's trying to really close the gap there. Look at that. Under 2/10 now at the run of here towards Druids, but I don't think he'll be close enough. Decides to stay in line. Ooh, really close to the back end of the 3 car. About as close as these touring cars get when they go through there.
Yeah, so Bernardini continuing to pile on the pressure onto the rear end of that number 3 GT4 machine ahead of him, and again taking these big wide arcs in through Surtees. They climb up the hill to be able to get the speed off the corner. Bernardini again, he has to try and figure out where he's going to make this move now, because you know, the most obvious opportunity is into Druids, but as we've seen in the previous couple of other battles, you know, you can get a nose in at some points up the circuit. So it's not the only overtaking opportunity, but the other overtaking opportunities are so difficult. But again, you just have to hold all those possibilities in your head and decide which one's the right one at the right time, and also keeping in mind that you have to capitalize on mistakes of the driver ahead.
Adam McNally is trying to do battle here with Baptiste Schneider in this battle. Matthew Christmas promoted himself up to the front of the train here. All of this battling has allowed for Ismael Jimenez to close on in. This all started in the second to last corner when Baptiste Schneider ran a little bit wide, and it was just been non-stop action from there, almost doing each other, but so far it's been completely clean in this fight here. Now you can see Jimenez trying to maybe poke around Baptiste Schneider to put him down another spot here, which means he will lose about 3 spots in the span of 1 lap. Schneider really pinching in. Jimenez there, making sure that 20 car cannot get a good line through the corner. And it looks like just now, these guys have been able to keep things steady for the time being.
They have, but again, we are getting towards the 8.5 minutes to go mark here in this one, so it's still a good handful of laps to go, actually. It's not desperation moves just yet, but as those laps and minutes tick away, the mindset changes somewhat in the minds of these drivers, and they're wanting to go forward as much as possible, try and finish as high as possible. Another little moment here between these two, between Baptiste Schneider and Jimenez. Jimenez was looking for at least some semblance of a move coming through clearways that time around, but was unsuccessful, and you can see the separation that it has caused now between P6 and 7, Schneider, Jimenez, and to Crispin McNally for P4.
Here comes Jimenez down the inside of Schneider into Druids. Locks up a little bit on the right front. Still no contact on the exit. Miguel Freitas is trying to get the look at this, the cutback for Jimenez, trying to fight back. No dice though in the run down through turn number 4. Now Jimenez going defensive against Freitas, now cutting them back to the right side of the track, and Jimenez is going to be driving Freitas is going to be driving angry. Remember, he got caught up with Calvo just a lap before. He is not in the mood for games at the moment, and now he draws alongside the 20 car, and he has gotten the draft from Baptiste Schneider to work with here in the run towards the Hawthorne bend. So side by side, dead even into the braking zone, but Freitas backs out.
Yeah, it's got very close between them, though. There must have been a centimetre, if that, between the two cars heading their way through Pilgrim's Drop. So really trying to negotiate the space between the two of them as much as possible, but and you know, in that instance there wasn't any contact, but we have seen those little door rings coming through that very same corner on previous occasions, so you do have to be so careful. Looking further ahead here as well, Jimenez looking, look, he's basically pushing him through the corner. There is Jimenez as they head their way through clearways. It's all closing up here, Nolan, and we might see 3 wide.
3 wide?
No, not yet. Looking to the inside.
Freitas goes for it through turn 1 and still holding my breath here as he now dives up for 2. These guys are not taking any prisoners at the moment. This is allowing Schneider to start to build the smallest of gaps, but still side by side. Jimenez now playing the defensive game. Freitas trying to get the over-under on him. Will the 20 car be able to fend him off? I don't think so. I think Freitas might just have this one.
Here's another addition to the party as well. Matthias Magnus touring ahead of them between Jimenez and Freitas, and Magnussen's now trying to find a lane up against the grass to try to work with here. This is crazy racing here at the tail end of the TCR pack. Magnussen down the inside of Freitas, he's able to gain the position over the Team Mad car. So again, a lot of shuffling here. Believe it or not, these aren't the battles for the last positions in TCR right now, but they're fighting like it's for the race lead.
And now Freitas back to the inside. That's not a pass opportunity down there through Sheens, and he's going to thankfully back out of that one. That could have been an almighty accident there. I think finally things are going to start to settle on out here for this battle at least. My goodness, that was something else to say the very least. A lot of side-by-side action there for a few laps. Race League was the last lap. We still got 5 minutes to go as well, and now Freitas going to go back to the outside of Magnus. So like I said, these are for the last positions on the track at the moment of cars that are still in the race.
a lot of fun being had out there right now. Frias attempting to go around the outside at Paddock Hill Bend, and he's overcut the exit as well out into the gravel, able to keep it together though. You can just see that's just exemplifying how much he has been pushing. By the way, you have that P2 fight for GT4 still active right now. They've been going, well, they haven't really been going side by side like the TCRs have, but they're keeping each other within touching distance, and they could have a fantastic fight any minute. Meanwhile, more TCR action because Matthew Crisp and Adam McNally are now going side by side for P4.
McNally tried to go around the outside just on the exit of Surtees. Didn't quite work. He's going to have the inside line up for the Hawthorne Bend, and Matthew Crisp let him have it there. You saw that he braked way early, but he's trying to get the over-under. McNally defensive here in the run-on up out of the Hawthorne Bend, up through the Westfield Bend, and I think Chris is still going to try to get the comeback on him. He is really trying to fight this one out. That 18 car is not wanting to go down without a fight. This is not a pass opportunity. You can't go side by side. They're here, but they managed to make it work. No, they don't. McNally gets spun hard into the wall, and McNally's day ends in tears.
It does. You called it right for the second time this race, with you saying you can't go side by side through there, and well, Adam McNally finds out the hard way. Hard racing there for P4 out on circuit. Let's take another look at it then, as you see the car going deep to the inside there, and there's the contact just coming off the corner. They were fine until that very, very last moment when, unfortunately, Crisp just got into the back rear right quarter panel of Adam McNally and just spins him out. It was just such a fine margin, but sometimes that's all it takes to have an incident.
You can't go side by side through there. It doesn't work, and oh, that is such a hard hit for McNally and a hard stopper as well. Definitely not something that you wanted to have happen at all. The battle is still fierce though. Magnussen up the inside of Jimenez now in this overall battle here. Schneider still trying to hang on desperately. Friedrich is in the mix of this, so this is a 4-car draft train at the moment that we got here in the run of the Hawthorne Bend. It's a 3-car drafting train down on the right side of the racetrack. Oh, more contact. Magnussen to the 20-car of Jimenez, trying to spin down 3 wide now as Friedrich tries to make the move.
Yeah, Friedrich down the inside, tries to shove Jimenez out of the circuit, but well, he's able to remain within the white lines. 3 wide here, going through the middle sector of Branstad. Surely this can't end in any positive way. Somehow they keep it all together. My words.
How do you do that at a loss? Oh my God, this is a hell of a fight that these guys are giving us here. Matthias Magnussen still hangs on to the position. Friedrich is going to be fighting furiously to try to get back. I have butterflies in my stomach here. That was unbelievable. Just insane stuff we see with the DCRs. This is the hardest they've been fighting all day long. And on top of that, somehow in the midst of that, Bernardini got past for second, but it's even Friedrich down the inside again around Magnussen, trying to make it work in the 12 car. And we're coming up now to what is going to be the second to last lap of the race here.
Yeah, and I don't think I can take one more lap of this. I'll be completely honest. Nolan is free as looking down the inside of Magnussen up towards Surtees now. Can that Team Mad car find any way through? The answer is going to be no for now. They'll continue on the side-by-side fight towards Kilgrim's drop now. And again, this is brilliant stuff we're seeing in TCR. I think Frias has just kind of realized with that letting Magnussen through there, that's trying that tempting fate again with that sort of move around the outside is probably not the wisest idea he's ever had. So you're just going to drop back in line and live to fight another day. Again, we're keeping an eye on that battle for P2 and GT4s, but it hasn't really had the same sort of flashpoint as these guys, but we'll jump to it just in case they do start having a little bit of a rumble for second place.
The real rumble in GT4 is actually for third and fourth. They're side by side at the moment trying to do battle as well. So we'll have to keep eyes on both of these here at the moment. But look at this, another small position. Friedrich back up the inside of Magnussen, trying to fight back. These guys don't know when to quit. We're coming around for the last lap as well. In fact, the GT4s might be on the last lap at the moment. Maybe not quite. Andrea Martin just barely makes it back to the white flag. So last lap on the day for the GT4s at the moment. There's your race leader. P2 side by side of the GT4s at the moment, down for turn number 1 as well as Now here goes Bernardini trying to make this move. Leonard Hartenberg is going to have to back out. He's going to settle for third here, but it still isn't over.
It isn't over. There's so many places to look at the moment with this battle for P2 and GT4s. We have the amazing mid to tail end of the train battle in TCRs as well between Freitas, Magnussen, Jimenez, all those drivers involved. Schneider as well. He's gotten himself ahead of those guys a little bit more than he has been previously. You see Bernardini and Hartenberg going to get very close, maybe towards the end of this lap. We'll just have to wait and see. There's the TCR battle that has been enthralling us all the way through this event, and they still might not be done, mind you, as Magnussen, Jimenez down the inside, bullies him out of the circuit, sends him out into the grass and the gravel.
And there's a race leader just behind him, Andrea Carrera-Martins. I don't think he's going to get in the way of this battle. I think he's just going to kind of back off here. He's got 9.3 seconds. He can afford to wait for that battle to go on for one more lap. But for the number one car, Andrea Carrera-Martins, complete domination of the number one car. He will come home and take the victory that he so desperately wanted here at Brands Hatch. Brilliant drive for him. The battle isn't over, and oh wow, Martins knocks the mirror off his car there on the right side. In the battle for second, Bernardini takes it to the second position with Hartenberg having to settle for third just behind. Wow, what an absolutely brilliant fight for these guys all race along. And I think finally the TCR battle is split up enough that we won't be seeing it coming on up for a while.
Yeah, here's the TCR leader that has yet to finish his race. What a race it's been for Quentin Guinez. He was able to gap George Simmons quite comfortably throughout the entirety of this race and just pull away, pull away, pull away. And again, it's been a very impressive drive from him so far. And, well, so far, I mean, he only has about a third of the lap to go. So it might as well be the entire race at this point. Fantastic stuff for Guinez. He'll end up coming across the line as long as he can negotiate the final corner as the race winner in TCR. I'm keeping an eye on the P7 battle, though, because that's now within half a second, so we might get round two.
I believe that would be Magnussen then versus Jimenez, but it is going to be a victory in the TCRs for Quentin Guinez. Comes across the line for a well-deserved win to that number 4 car. Nobody was able to get close. The last battle on the track between the 12 and the 20. Will there be another pass here for the position? Magnussen just behind. Freitas trying to hang on here in the battle for 6th place in the TCRs. Off of the final corner. Nobody can get to him in time. We go. Freitas wins the battle for 6th. Ismael Jimenez is in 7th with Matthias Magnussen in 8th. What a thrilling battle there in the TCRs. Definitely the most exciting thing we've seen all season long. And I thought what we saw in the last lap in the last corners at the Nordschleife was exciting.
It seems like this series just keeps getting better and better, doesn't it? It's incredible. As you can see the very celebratory mood that Quentin Guinez is in as the race winner. He has George Simmons right behind him there, perhaps giving him a good well done flash of the lights, because yeah, there's the rear locking sort of drift / burnouts that the TCRs can do there. Yeah, it's again, this was a very comfortable race for Guinez, but for basically everyone else behind, not so.
I'm amazed at the race that we saw. The series just keeps on topping itself. I mean, every race we think, surely this can't be as good as last week's, but every time it always is. I don't get it. Oh, looks like there might have been a drifting fail just in the background there behind your overall race winner. So, oh my word, what a race. Just what an absolutely phenomenal race.
Yeah, brilliant stuff indeed. As I do like these TCR drifts, by the way, the front-wheel drive drifts. It's you know, great to see. But well, we have to recap our race results here, Nolan, in just a couple of moments, and see actually where everyone finished in that one, because it was chopping and changing all the time during the race. Every single lap had multiple bits of action at multiple points on the circuit, and well, here's the finishing order for GT4.
Andrea Carrera-Martins comes home in first, 9.2 seconds behind Alessio Bernardini, who is going to bring it out in the second position. Leonard Hartenberg rounds out the podium, just 0.2 of a second behind. Florian von Minkwitz is in fourth with Dominic Brennan in fifth. Tristan Iglesias is in sixth. Taylor Bernard is in seventh with Marcos Garcia in eighth. Joshua Hellbrung at 9th. Marcus Giroux rounding out the top 10. Michael Janey is in 11th with Xavier Schwartzman in 12th. Nathan Ames in the 13th position to round out the 13-car GT4 field. The real battles, though, was all in the TCRs today, and not so much for the lead as Corentin Guedes took the lead in style. Simmons, Harris, and Chris once again a UKNI 2, 3, and 4. How common is that a sight nowadays? It's been almost every race that's been that way. Baptiste Schneider's in the 5th position with Miguel Freitas is in 6th. Ishmael Habib Jimenez, one of the fierce fights there, in 7th with Matthias Magnussen rounded it out in 8th. That was the last driver to actually finish the race. Then, of course, we had Adam McNally, Danny Calvo, and Fraser Smith rounding out the field here today. And Fraser Smith did not take the green flag, I'm pretty sure. So, what a race. Just, oh my word. Absolutely phenomenal from everybody involved.
Yeah, it's, again, I keep saying this, after the races, because I'm not usually commentating on these. It's usually yourself and Stefan Schlacker that commentate on these ones. But my words, I'm sitting here from the director's seat usually every single time. I'm just wondering, how do these guys, not bin it every single corner with the fighting that they do? I certainly I'm not capable of it. It's a special kind of racer to drive in both of these cars, but especially the TCRs here in this one, because it's just an entirely different style to drive with the front wheel drive, and to drive that close in amongst other cars as well. I'm always a big admirer of it.
It's something that it's just shocking, really, as to what you can see here in this race. I mean, we saw about everything there. That was definitely the hardest fought battle we have ever seen here in the TCRs, going side by side through corners you can't go side by side through originally, and then trying to go 3 wide through the same corners. What were they thinking?
They were thinking like TCR drivers and thinking, well, I can battle every single corner and, just try and force other drivers off track. And, there were a couple of comments in the YouTube chat during that race, and where it's like, well, this is just how these guys race. It's how the cars race in the sim. It's how the cars race sometimes in the real world as well. So it does get replicated, and it is one of the more entertaining, I would say, categories of racing that we have, both in the real world and in sim racing. But yeah, it looks like no one's really going to join us for an interview here. At least I haven't spotted anyone jump in and offer their words at the end of this broadcast here. So I think it's about time to wrap here, Nolan.
A bit of a shame. I was really hoping we could talk to some of the guys of the TCR field, but it is what it is. The next race will be, of course, next week at the Long Beach Street Circuit, and if this race was insane, oh boy, well, just wait. We got another thriller coming up here in just 1 week's time. I've been all around bringing you all the coverage here from start to finish. Connor Maddock doing a thrilling job and a spectacular job, as always, behind the cameras and beside me in the commentary box throughout the course of today's race. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for another presentation here of Friday Night Primetime. We will see you all 7 days.